President Trump promised to take action after 2 more mass shootings this past weekend. Today, he discussed 4 steps to stop mass shootings, one of those being partnerships at the local level.
First, we must do a better job of identifying and acting on early warning signs. I am directing the Department of Justice to work in partnership with local, state, and federal agencies as well.
Some California Democrats are pushing back on President Trump's statements. Washington correspondent M. Nguyen details the position of California's members of Congress.
We are outraged and sickened by this monstrous evil, the cruelty, the hatred, the malice, the bloodshed, and the terror.
President Trump denouncing this weekend's massacres, calling them evil, saying the U.S. must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy.
These sinister ideologies must be defeated. Hate has no place in America.
California GOP lawmaker and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy says he couldn't agree more with the president, but Democrats were quick to refute. California Congresswoman Jackie Spears saying Trump, quote, took no responsibility for his own words and cowardice in the face of racist chants at his rallies, end quote. Her response comes after Trump told 4 congresswomen of color to go back to the country of which they came, which came up at some of his rallies. But Trump says he's determined to work with Democrats.
We have asked the FBI to identify all further resources they need to investigate and disrupt hate crimes and domestic terrorism.
Trump cites mental health and gruesome video games as factors for mass shootings and also pledges to work with social media companies to detect mass murderers before they act. As for legislation, Trump says he will support red flag bills, which allow family members to help prevent someone from buying a firearm or temporarily take weapons away from someone deemed dangerous. But instead, Democrats are demanding for the Senate to approve the universal background checks bill that passed the House 5 months ago. And others, like California Senator Dianne Feinstein, are calling lawmakers to reinstate the ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. She says, quote, now is the time for decisive action. Now is the time to save lives. Trump says he's open and ready to hear all ideas.
We cannot allow ourselves to feel powerless. We can and will stop this evil contagion.
Well, the contributing factors to this crisis are many, and part of President Trump's statement focused on the Internet's role in radicalization. Take a listen.
We must recognize that the Internet has provided a dangerous avenue to radicalize disturbed minds and perform demented acts. We must shine light on the dark recesses of the Internet and stop mass murders before they start.
And with us now to go deeper into responsibility and best practices around internet radicalization is the author of Screen Time. In the meantime, Dr. Tracy Bennett. Nice to see you again, Doctor. Thank you so much for being here. When President Trump talked about the darker recesses, he could be, well, talking about these unregulated forums like 8chan and the Messenger app Telegram, but even YouTube and Twitter are used to radicalize people these days. So when we think about responsibility, government, the app developers themselves, parents, where would you say the responsibility lies?
I think it's for all of us to deal with, right? Parents need to manage what their kids are seeing. Government needs to legislate. Big tech needs to write appropriate policy and monitor.
You've worked a lot on helping identify people who are prone and vulnerable to this sort of radicalization. There are these sorts of red flags. Walk us into those a little bit.
Yeah, so, you know, anybody who is vulnerable to radicalization is somebody who is searching for an answer and searching to be special. And so there are some red flags that you can look out for to know that somebody's prone to violence. Of course, we know as psychologists that the strongest predictor is a past history of violence, but not all our mass shooters have had a history. So other things to look out for are, is the person isolating? Is their behavior changing? Are they compulsively using the internet? Are they starting to write provocative posts on their websites or take out a YouTube channel for a personal vlog? And then you also want to look out for signs of mental illness. For example, Are they showing blunted affect, which means not a lot of expression on their face, or they have a hard time finding joy or connecting in relationships? Are they isolating? Is their hygiene going down? There's a whole list.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about blunted affect, because right now the suspect that's in custody, they say that he's acting very cold, so it speaks to your point. For parents and people that are interested in now stepping in, if they've noticed these signs, what are the best practices for intervention in these cases?
Well, it's important to get help. Go to a clinical psychologist. You can even talk to school administrators, because most of us know exactly who to refer to and what resources to use. But, you know, the mental health community has some responsibility as well, and we need funding so that we have prevention efforts early. Instead of reacting, we need prevention. That's my goal now. I'm a treatment provider. I'm a psychologist, and so I've been treating people who are already injured through digital injury on screens and other reasons, and we can prevent it.
Yeah, and just, you know, as a few words here at the end, we've been talking about the internet, but then there's video games too. What's the part that video games play in all this, as the president talked about?
You know, we have, so the American Psychological Association and the American Pediatric Association have looked at decades of psychological research and found evidence of causal connection between playing violent video games and acting aggressive, and also decreased pro-social behavior and decreased empathy. But at the same time, juvenile delinquency is down. So if all of our young people are playing video games, why is there not more crime? Why is there not more aggression? And this very confusing tangle of factors is the reason that the lawsuits that have been taken out to get violent video games off the shelves aren't succeeding. It's a very complicated picture, and there are many contributors.
It's very true, and lots of trends to watch. The book is called Screen Time. In the meantime, Dr. Bennett, thank you so much for offering your insights.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, of course.